In addition to that, for our new hires who are hired on or after January 1st of 2012, the qualifications for them to receive a potential benefit increase is determined as follows. The member must be 55 years of age or older on July 1st and be currently receiving benefits. So in order for any retiree who was hired on or after January 1st, 2012 and then retires, in order for them to be eligible for a benefit increase, if one is given, they have to be at least 55 years of age and must be receiving benefits. Finally, with respect to the COLA, you'll see there that on or after December 31st of 2015, the state legislature also has the ability to enact a permanent benefit increase for these members after there has been an analysis completed by the JLBC. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next plan, which is our Corrections Officers Retirement Plan. For our existing members, things that will be changing for them will be when it comes to contributions, contribution rate starting fiscal year 2011. The contribution rate actually is maintained at the same rate. I think we currently contribute at 8.41% for our corp members, except for our dispatchers, and those dispatchers contribute at 7.96%. After fiscal year 2011 and beginning of fiscal year 2012, it will be 8.41% except for dispatchers, which is at 7.96%, or a 50-50 split between the employer and employee, whichever is lower. So each year when we conduct our actuarials, we'll determine whether or not the corp membership will maintain that 8.41%, or based upon the actuarials, if the 50-50 split provides a lower contribution rate, they would be contributing at that rate. And we would notify all of our employers as we normally do each year through our transmittals. Our existing membership for corp also have the alternate contribution rate issue here in this plan as well. So what does that mean? That means, again, if you have a corp retiree that you have reemployed into a position that would normally be filled by a corp active contributing member, you as the employer are responsible to pay that alternate contribution rate, which again is determined by our annual actuarial evaluations. For this upcoming fiscal year, for corp, that alternate contribution rate will be 6%. Service purchases for our active contributing membership. Kind of this runs the same way as it did in elected officials, in that an individual has to have 10 years of credited service in order to be eligible to even apply for such purchase. And then on top of that, you have your maximums for active military service, 60 months for active military service, and a maximum of 60 months of prior public service. When it comes to refunds for our active contributing membership, nothing changes for them as long as they were hired on or before January 1st of 2012. If they were hired on or before January 1st, 2012, they terminate employment with you and they put in an application for a refund, their refund will be calculated as currently set in statute, which does have enhancement based upon their years of credited service. When it comes to benefit calculations, no changes to the benefit calculations for our current active contributing membership in the corp plan. Normal retirement for them still maintained at 20 years of service or 25 years of service if they are a dispatcher. Age 62 with 10 years of service, or the sum of their age and service, which equals 80 points. Their calculation for pension is also going to continue to be based upon the highest 3 consecutive years of compensation. So for those active contributing members, prior to being hired on or before January 1st of 2012, their program does not change for them in terms of their pension calculation. When it comes to the reverse drop program, which is still in corp, no changes happen there either for our active membership. Now, moving on to our members who are hired on or after January 1st of 2012. Again, you heard that again. That's kind of the kicker with all three of our plans. The changes occur for those members who are hired on or after January 1st of 2012. When it comes to contribution rates, theirs are the same contribution rates that are calculated for the current active contributing membership. They also will be subject to ACRs once they retire and if they're reemployed by you as an employer in a corp designated position. Service purchases for them are also the same in that they have to show 10 years of credited service before being eligible. They also have their maximums, the 60 months for active and public service, active military and public service. What changes for them for refunds is, as I stated with elected officials plan, in that if they terminate and put in an application for refund, their refund will be their contributions plus any interest that is determined by the Board of Trustees. The big thing that changes for them, for those new hires on or after January 1st of 2012, is how they're eligible for normal retirement and how their pension is calculated. Normal retirement for new hires after January 1st will be 25 years of service and age 52 and a half, or 10 years of service and age 62. Those would be the two criteria for someone to retire normally under corp for those new hires. Their pension benefit calculation will also be like the new hires in EORP, based upon the highest 5 consecutive years of compensation. So theirs is based upon a high 5 as opposed to a high 3 for our current membership. Their pension amount is calculated as follows. For those individuals who have the 25 years of credited service, they will receive 62.5% of their average monthly compensation. If they have 25 or more years of credited service, then that pension benefit is increased by 2.5% per year and fractional year over 25. If the individual who is retiring has less than 25 years of credited service at time of normal retirement, then their pension is calculated as a product of 2.5% times their actual credited service. Maximum benefit for a new hire on or after January 1st, 2012 is still the same as current active membership, which is 80% of their average monthly compensation. And for them, they also would have reverse drop, or there was no change to reverse drop. Permanent benefit increases, kind of calculated in the same fashion and determined in the same fashion as it is for the elected official plan, where first off, we're no longer putting any additional funds into the current reserves that are paying benefits out. So we're basically going to wipe those funds to pay out and clear out those funds to begin the new program, which starts in July 1st of 2012. And again, the increases are based upon the funding ratio. If the funding ratio is between 60 to 64, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, up to a maximum of 4% based upon the funding ratio. And again, in addition to that, in order for us to even consider that in the prior fiscal year, we have to have a return of 10.5%. Finally, we will only fund what's available over the 10.5% at the time that benefit increases are payable. So even though we may be eligible to potentially pay a 3.5% because our funding ratio meets that criteria, if we don't have enough funds over the 10.5% return, we'll only pay what's available to pay. Finally, for our new hires who are hired on or after January 1st of 2012, or their survivors, they become eligible for a benefit increase. Again, they have to be age 55 or older on July 1st and have to be currently receiving benefits. Or if they're under the age of 55 on July 1st, they would be potentially eligible for a benefit increase if they're receiving an accidental disability benefit for the 2 preceding years. So the 2 preceding or 2 prior July, they have to show basically 2 prior July payments on the books if they're an accidental disability recipient and they're under the age of 55. If they're under the age of 55 on July 1st, they also could potentially be eligible for a benefit increase if the survivor is receiving a survivor KIA benefit, and again, that survivor KIA had received 2 previous July payments. So outside of that, those would be the only qualifiers for an individual to receive a permanent benefit increase if one is established and payable in that particular July 1. And then you'll also note there that just like in EORP, the state legislature has authority on December 30th, 2015 going forward to enact permanent benefit increases themselves. Go ahead and move forward to public safety retirement, our PSPRS group. For our existing membership, contribution rates will also see an incremental change in the next few fiscal years. Starting with our upcoming one on July 1st, their contribution rate will increase from the current 7.65 to 8.65. In the fiscal year 13, it goes to 9.55. Fiscal year 14 goes to 10.35, and fiscal year 15 goes to 11.05. From fiscal year 16 going forward, the percent will be either 11.65 or the 33 or 33.3%, 66.7% split between employer and employee, whichever is lower. There is, again, a floor to the minimum contribution rate for an employee under public safety, and that will be at 7.65%. For public safety retirement, they also have the alternate contribution rate issue. In that, again, if you as an employer are employing a public safety retiree in a position that would traditionally be contributing to the public safety retirement system, you as the employer must pay that alternate contribution rate beginning July 20th of 2011. So this would actually be occurring for any retiree that you have currently in what would traditionally be a PSPRS contributing position. So we will be sending out notification to our employers to kind of get some information on all 3 of our plans to figure out where that alternate contribution rate will come into play for them.
What are you using as the alternate contribution rate? Is it based on individual employer's experience, or is it one rate overall?
One rate overall. It's actuarially calculated, and it's for public safety. It's 10.51, based on last June 30, 2010 valuation.
The question was the alternate contribution rate for public safety. How is that determined? And it is determined actuarial based upon the entire fund. It's not taken by the individual employer's actuarial. It's the actuarial that's conducted for the entire fund. And currently that rate for public safety will be 10.51. When it comes to service purchases for our public safety retiree, or not retiree, sorry, our contributing membership to public safety retirement, just like the other 2 plans, they have to show on and after July 20th of 2011, in order for them to put in an application for a service purchase, they have to show 10 years of credited service. They also have their maximums. There's 60 months of public service and 60 months of active prior military service. Refunds for our existing PSPRS membership does not change for those individuals who are hired prior to January 1st of 2012. If they terminate and select a refund, their refund will be calculated in the normal way that it currently is being calculated. Benefit calculations for our current active contributing public safety membership. Nothing changes for them. They are still eligible for normal retirement at 20 years of service or age 62 with 15 years of service. In addition to that, their pension benefit is calculated on the highest 3 consecutive years of compensation, as it is currently completed for our active contributing membership.